Hey friends, in this video I'm going to talk about creating a budget. Now if you're like me, when I first created my budget, you'll know it's something that's not really exciting and you might not have been sure how to create an accurate, robust budget. But I will say that once you get over this hurdle, it is something that does become exciting because you're going to start seeing how much money you're spending on certain categories and really feeling that motivation to cut back. So for instance, just this year, I changed who I went through for my auto insurance. I changed phone carriers because I saw how much I was spending and started putting in the research to see, well, what other options do I have? You're also going to get motivation from your budget because you'll see whether or not you're on track for your financial goals. Maybe your budget will show you that you're on track, and that's great. Then you can just keep doing what you're doing, or maybe even cut back a little bit to expedite when you reach your financial goal. Maybe it says the opposite, you're off track. Well, then you need to start considering lifestyle choices, or maybe expanding the timeline of reaching that financial goal. So I say that the first step in creating a budget before you do anything is completing the blanks in this sentence, which is, I want to save blank dollars in blank time frame for blank reason. So some examples of that could be, I want to save $15,000 in a year to buy a new car, or I want to save $100,000 in 10 years to put towards reaching financial independence. A budget is going to help you to reach that because it's going to show you if you're on track. And if you're not on track, that budget is going to help you to know what dollar amount you need to cut from your spending in order to reach that goal. I say that this is step one because this is how you're going to hold yourself accountable for creating and maintaining this budget. A budget is not something that you just set and forget. It's something that you're constantly paying attention to and improving upon as things change. So you might know what you want to save for in the dollar amount you're trying to save, but might not know what time frame is realistic. And that's what this budget is going to do, is it's going to help you to forecast, is this goal in this time frame realistic? So now that you have your goal set, you're probably eager to find out whether or not the time frame you've set is realistic or not. But we don't get to find this out yet. It's going to take some time and effort to get there, and we'll get there by analyzing our income versus our expenses. So income is probably just your regular paychecks that you get each month. The hard part is figuring out all of your expenses, and a lot of blogs are going to tell you to sit down and just sit there and think about everything you spend money on each month and jot them down. You can even look at your previous banking statements to figure all that out, but I discourage this. It's hard sitting down and recalling every little thing you spend money on each month. Instead, I say to automate this process, and you automate that by using a tool that you hook up to your bank account and credit card that's going to capture all of these transactions for you. So to do that, I use Intuit's Mint, which you hook up to your bank account and credit cards, and it automatically pulls in your transactions, and it'll also automatically assign categories to each transaction. And there are plenty of other products out there that do something similar to Mint, but say you have privacy concerns, you could also go the route of having a spreadsheet where you manually enter in all of these transactions. But that could get tedious, and I only suggest that if you're really committed to creating a budget. So if you decide to go with an automated approach like using Mint, this is not a set it and forget it thing. So although Mint properly categorizes that transaction from Kroger as grocery, was all of that really grocery, or did you also buy toothpaste and pet food? Well, then it doesn't make sense to lump all of those into the grocery category. So you're going to have to split that transaction out. So this means using Mint's split feature to then split those out into the appropriate categories. And this is why I don't like using previous bank statements to help you when you're first creating your budget to determine how much you spend in each category, because you can't see all of the items you actually bought to then properly break them out into the appropriate category. So make sure that you're holding on to your receipts, and once those transactions post in Mint, go and make sure you're splitting them out. Also, you'll notice that at times Mint messes up and doesn't properly categorize some transactions, so you need to change those. This process of grooming these transactions lasts the life of the budget and never ends. You need to make sure that you are at least once a week going in and grooming these transactions in order to maintain the integrity of your spending data, because this is what you're going to be making your financial decisions off of. Categorizing some transactions might take a little bit of thought, where you're going to have to make up some rules that make sense to you. For instance, I purchase a cell phone once every few years, so it doesn't make sense for me to have a monthly or even a yearly budget on a cell phone purchase. So for that, I've created my own category in Mint that I've called Misc Bucket. And this is where items like a new mattress or a new winter jacket, things that I only buy once every several years, go towards, where it doesn't make sense for them to have their own monthly or yearly category. Another thing you're going to have to consider is how granular you want to be with the categories. So for instance, all of my pet expenses for my cat go under the pet category. So I don't break it out into vet visits and pet supplies. I just want it all under one umbrella. I just personally don't care to see it broken out like that. But things like home supplies and personal supplies, I do care to break out. So paper towels and dish detergent are going to go to home supplies, whereas toothpaste and contact solution is going to go towards personal supplies. So that's just my personal preference, and I'm just giving you some examples on some of the things you're going to have to think about. So do this process for a few months where you're letting Mint capture your transactions and you're grooming these transactions. Also make sure if you have any cash expenses that you manually enter those into Mint. What's going to happen is with this data, Mint's going to present to you some really nice reports of your spending data. And that's going to make it easier for you to then create your monthly budgets. So after a few months of getting some spending data, you're ready to create your budgets. So how do you determine which dollar amount to set on each category for your monthly budgets? Well, there's a couple different things you could do. You could take the average of the previous 3 months spending and set that as your monthly budgeted amount, or maybe you take the max of the 3 months. Don't worry about getting this 100% accurate right now, because it's likely that that number is going to change later on with only 3 months of data. And that's okay, because think of your budget as a target where you're not able to hit the bullseye right now, but you're getting closer each time. Also, things in life change, so maybe something comes up to where you now have more medical expenses and you have to divert more of your money towards that, or maybe you make cuts in a certain category and you're now spending less, so you have more money that's going towards your goal. Again, don't worry about getting this 100% right now. So now that you have your monthly budget set up, you're probably wondering how to set up your yearly budgets. For instance, car registration. That's something that only happens once a year, not on a monthly basis. So it doesn't really make sense to set that category as a monthly budget. But the thing about Mint is you can't set yearly budgets, and that's my biggest complaint about Mint. So to handle this, I use an Excel sheet to supplement Mint, where I just export all of my transactions out and paste them into this spreadsheet, and it sums up each category's transactions and shows me where I'm at so far in the year. And then also in this spreadsheet, I have it to where it shows me my forecast of where I'm going to be in the next whatever time frame I've set for my financial goal. So I'll talk about that in the next video, but right now focus on getting those monthly budgets set up by determining what tool you want to use in order to capture this data.